Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Shadow Stitch, and today we're going to be doing our draft preview for the UNPL, or the Uva Premier League Season 4. So, super happy to be back for Season 4. We did pretty well last season. Season 3 made it all the way to the second round of playoffs. So definitely looking forward to trying to push a little bit farther, maybe even claim a chip. I think that this is a really good league. Shoutouts to Danny and Kurt and all the rest over there. They run a really tight ship, and I'm super happy to be back. So yeah, but yeah, as you see, we got pick number 5 of 12. So 5, not the best position, but of course we'd rather be on the higher end. Yeah, so. I'm definitely not complaining because we ended up picking up some great stuff, and relatively close to the wheel is always nice. So yeah, so let's go ahead, just break down a little bit, see what's going on this season. So just like pretty much exactly the same as season 3. So we have 2 divisions. We got 12 coaches in each division. It's going to be a 9-week season. We're going to be uploading on Saturdays, and then top 8 make playoffs. We have 10 to 12 Pokemon to pick, and then 115 point budget, 18 points Terra Captain budget, and then 12 points or less again Terra, with some exceptions of course, and then up to 3 captains, 3 Terra types, 1 of those going to be Stab. Incredibly standard stuff for the low tier Terra. And I think this is probably the best way. If you want to do Terra in a league, this is probably the best way to do it. I think that it's relatively balanced. The only thing that I would like to add to a lot of these is just Terra preview, but yeah, that's it. No, that's just me. But yeah, so I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. Pretty straightforward, little breakdown, and so let's go ahead and just hop right into what we're bringing this season. So first and foremost, you already know it's Darkrai. He needs the comeback. He needs the comeback, man. He made it all the way to round 2 of playoffs, so he got to push a little farther. And yeah, it's my favorite Pokemon ever. I had a ton of other options on the board, but I just couldn't. I had to. I saw the opportunity, and we already got history in the UNPL, so I had to bring him back on. So yeah, I'm so happy to have Darkrai back. This Pokemon is absolutely insane. Incredible speed tier. Hits so freaking hard. It did lose the synergy like I had last season with Thunder, because spoiler alert, we're not going Rain this time. Unfortunate, I know. But it is what it is. So yeah. But Darkrai is a good Pokemon. It's incredibly good. I don't think I used it super well last season, but with a full season under my belt, I think we could definitely make him work better, even better this season, which is awesome. So next up, though, we ended up picking up Walking Wake as our next mon. So yeah, Photosynthesis is a really good ability. Water Dragon is really good as typing, and it's got some really good stats. So they'll bake that all together. We got a really good Pokemon. So yeah, also first time drafting this thing. It's so good. It hits so hard. It has really crazy good coverage. And it has pretty much everything that it needs. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to using Walking Wake, and who knows, maybe you're kind of seeing what route we might be going this time with this. So yeah, we're gonna drop some Dracos. We're gonna fire off some Hydro Steams. It got Scald, it got Flip Turn, which is cool, so we can pivot, and just overall really strong Pokemon. Definitely looking forward to trying this guy out. Next up, though, we got Gliscor. Gliscor. I don't know. Tell me down below. How am I supposed to pronounce this? I don't know. But yeah, I love Gliscor. Very cool Pokemon. I have not drafted it so far in Generation 8, but I did draft it one time in Generation 8. I have not drafted it in 9. It's a bastard. I'll just say that. This Pokemon is so annoying. And sure, it lost roots, but like now it got spikes. It got toxic spikes. It can still set up rocks. It can be so annoying, and just such a good, like, reliable pivot Pokemon. And like, it kind of fills the role that like Zapdos had on my team last season. Like, it's gonna be the Pokemon that comes in, it takes some hits, you know, maybe dish out a little bit of damage, maybe disrupt a little bit with some status, and then just get on out of there. And like, it's so good at that role. So I'm super happy to have Gliscor back. Gives me a strong flying and a strong ground type as well. So, and it could definitely go offensive. Do not sleep on offensive Gliscor. So there's that. Next up, though, we got Hatterene, and that's going to be our nice, strong fairy type this season. Magic Bounce is incredibly important on the archetype that I'm going for, and it also has a few other tools that are really, really good for it. So Hatterene is so strong. I have drafted Hatterene as a Gigantamax when that was in Generation 8, and it was a demon. So yeah, sure, we can't Gigantamax this time around. But, yeah, it can definitely set up Trick Room. It can just, in general, just be disruptive with, like, Nuzzle supports and stuff like that, and just bouncing things back at the opponents. It just hits really hard, too, and it has solid coverage. Still kept Mystical Fire, which is nice, and just, overall, just a good freaking Pokemon. I don't really know what else to say about Hatterene. It's just going to be a strong fairy type that can definitely be good for the team, so... Next up, though, we have our first Terra Captain, and that is going to be Venusaur with that Chlorophyll ability. Yeah, you already know. You know what it is. We're going Sun this time, so you figured it out. So, big, give you a cookie. Why not? So, but yeah, Venusaur is my second best performing Pokemon ever. I have drafted this thing twice. It was on my very first draft team ever. And it was on the team that got me possibly my most prestigious placement of runner-up in UPA, where I did end up dropping to Addison. But losing a finals game to Addison is no small feat. So yeah, and just even getting there is awesome. So yeah, or UPBA. Yeah, UPBA. But yeah, I love Venusaur. This Pokemon is absolutely incredible, and it just constantly keeps getting better. It keeps getting more moves. It keeps getting more options and stuff like that, and just so cool. I genuinely do think that this is one of the scariest Terra Captains that I could have gotten. Grass type is good because a lot of the time you're going to be running Giga Drain as your grass stab, so getting a boost on that is good. Fire type, of course, in the sun, we can even go stronger Terra Blast with Weather Ball, which is insane. And Fairy has some good defensive utility and helps cover for some of Venusaur's weaker matchups, because it actually struggles a little bit against Dragon types. So having Fairy for that kind of matchup is really, really strong. So yeah, Ice is potentially also useful, but I think Fairy fit pretty well. So yeah, super happy to have Venusaur back. I love this Pokemon, and I'm definitely looking forward to using it again. So next up, though, we got to fill out our Steel type and also some hazard control in Fortress. Fortress is pretty good. Sturdy ability is great, and Fortress works pretty well on Sun because he's gonna die to any fire type move anyway. So like, who cares? So yeah. Overcoat is potentially useful, but yeah, it's all about that really good defense stat, pretty solid typing in Bug and Steel, and then gets all the hazards you want. So I don't always have to rely on Gliscor to set up hazards. I got Fortress right here that can set them up as well. So that's pretty dang cool. So yeah, and it can even pivot. Can't forget about that. It got Volt Switch. That's cool. So yeah, Fortress is awesome. I think that it's a very solid spinner on Sun. I think it's possibly the best spinner for a Sun team. So there's that. But yeah. And then, of course, we have to get our Sunsetter, and it's going to be Ninetails this time. So Ninetails came back in the last DLC. I have not gotten to use Sun since the very beginning of the generation. So definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, I think that Ninetails is really cool. It got some cool tools. It got Baton Pass, which is awesome. Having a weather setter that can pivot in general is really good. I mean, look at Pelipper. There's a reason that Pelipper is good on rain teams, even though Pelipper sucks. So yeah, Pelipper is a garbage Pokemon, but it can pivot and it can heal itself. Ninetails can pivot and it can heal itself even though it sucks. Like, so yeah. But yeah, it's also pretty fast. You know, it has decent special defense, but it's really about that utility and, of course, bringing on the sun. So yeah, Ninetails is awesome. I'm so happy that I got to try this out for sure. So yep, there's that. And next up, we got Fan Rotom, and that's going to be our second Terra Captain this time around. So yeah, I'm still not finalized on the Terra Captains, you know, breaking fourth wall here a little bit. We're still going through grace period right now, so I'm not 100% on my Terra Captains, but I do think that flying is a very strong Terra type for this. Gives a actually good flying type move, and flying spam is just really strong. Ice is obviously great, gives it that perfect coverage with electric. Fire is pretty decent, gives it some good defensive utility, and it makes levitate not completely useless because now it nullifies my ground weakness, which is cool. And then in general, I don't know, like I haven't really decided exactly my third Terra type there, but I definitely think that flying ice is good. So who knows? Whenever we get into it, we might be changing it. But for now, this is what I have locked in. So there's that. So yeah, Rotom Fan is a really cool Pokemon. I have drafted it before. It's also on a team that I won a championship with. So this is a proud champion of the Charlotte Chandelures. So yeah, Rotom is a really good Pokemon, and this guy was like 6 points. People are sleeping on Rotom Fan. Monster Pokemon. Love him. Love him. Super happy to have the guy back. Next up, we got a fighting type, and not just any fighting type. It's Hisuian Lilligant. So, gives us a ground resistance because our previous grass type, of course, was paired with poison, so it doesn't resist ground. So, gives us a strong ground resistance. Even though we're not the bulkiest thing in the world, we can definitely take a hit. And now we got another Chlorophyll Abuser. We can run outside of Sun if we want to, and we can run Hustle, which is absolutely insane. Or if we want to be absolutely crazy, we can run Leaf Guard. So yeah, there's that. So which actually has some utility in this Pokemon. Now it can't be burned or paralyzed or something in the sun. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, anyway, Hisuian Lilligant hits so freaking hard, and it has Victory Dance, and again, Spread, Sleep, and stuff like that. And hey, look at on the top of that list, what Pokemon really likes Pokemon being asleep? Just saying, good freaking synergy on the team in general. So yeah, good speed tier. 105 is a pretty solid speed tier. Fills a tiny speed gap that I was having, which is nice. So yeah. But yeah, Hisuian Lilligant, very cool Pokemon. Very, very happy to try this out for the first time as well. So next up, though, we got Haunter. Okay, so I really wanted Mismagius for this spot. Mismagius looks so good for this team. But Haunter's pretty good. Haunter's not bad at all. I do think that it has a ton of potential. I think that this is one of those lower tier unevolved mons that people really sleep on. And sure, it's not really like an Eviolite abuser or anything like some of the ones that you've seen, but it hits really hard for what it is, and it's pretty fast for what it is. 95 base speed is a pretty solid speed tier, and 115 special attack is very, very hard hitting. And it has all the tools that Gengar has now because it got Focus Blast finally. So that's really cool. So, yeah, it's basically just a Babby Gengar. And I like Gengar already, but now it can levitate, and Gengar can't do that anymore. So who's really the better one? I don't know. You tell me. But yeah, Haunter's really cool. A very cool low tier Pokemon. Definitely happy to try him out. So Duang comes in next, and Duang fills a very important role of being like a strong ice type switch in. So we were having a little bit of a struggle against ice types. Best thing we had is like Fortress, and don't get me wrong, I like Fortress, but it's not a good ice type switch in, so it's gonna die. And it can't really do too much back because it's just gonna pivot out. But Duang, pretty good for that. You know, thick, fat. Even if you're firing off Freeze Dries, it's the only Pokemon in the game that can resist Freeze Dry. Cool. As a water type, of course. You know what I mean. That's kind of cool. So yeah, Ice Body if they're bringing Hail against me, or Snow against me, was pretty cool. Hydration if they're bringing Rain against me is kind of cool. But it's most likely just going to be thick, fat, and we don't have to worry so much about our about fire types now, because now we actually resist fire, so that's really nice on a sun team. So I thought that Duang fit really well, and it got flip turn as well, so that's pretty cool. So it's not going to be an every week kind of bring, but definitely something that you know, can be useful. And yeah, I like Duang, so there's that. So, and last but not least, yeah, this is, I think, the first time I have ever maxed out my team slots. But it's kind of worth it because Persian's really cool. So Persian is a cool Pokemon, for sure. So it has Technician, very strong ability, and definitely helps with its pretty middling offenses and stuff like that. And has a really solid speed tier. So normal type is good. It's not the best normal type in the world, don't get me wrong, but for a 1 point, this Pokemon was 1 point. It has a ton of utility. It can knock off, it can pivot, it can just be really annoying. It can run Scarf and hit a little bit harder because you could probably afford to run Adamant at that point. It can even Nasty Plot, which is kind of crazy. So you can run like a special Persian with like Swift and Technician, like Snarl and other shenanigans like that. So that seems pretty fun. So yeah. But overall, Persian, I think, has a lot of utility and a lot of options for a 1 point Pokemon, and I'm super happy that I picked it up. So, but yeah, so that is the team. I'm sorry I went a little bit long on this one, but we did have 12 Pokemon to go through this time. Like I said, I think that's the first time I think I've ever maxed out on team slots because, yeah, I just had a lot of... I had some leftover points, and just these last 3 Pokemon filled that up pretty well. These were also grace period transactions because I had to think about it a little bit, so I just kind of picked some stuff until I was ready. Yeah, so that's the team. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. It's Sun. Sun is one of my favorite draft styles and just play styles ever. It was my first ever draft team, was a Sun team, and I'm super happy to have it back. So, but yeah, and trying Sun for the second time, but now we have some really strong abusers in the Walking Wake, the Venusaur, and the Hisuian Lilligant. So, yeah, there's that. So, but with that said, shout outs to the UNPL for having me back. It's gonna be a great season. Best of luck to everybody, and let's have some good games. So, but like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. I love you all. Deuces.